how is it that US, we spend the most money out of our GDP, which is roughly 18% of our GDP, $1.5 trillion, towards health, yet we have one of the lowest life expectancies in the world? How does that make any sense? So imagine you get a phone call. They say, hey, we want you to have a new job. What job is this? We want you to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services. No way. Yes. How big is my budget? $1.5 trillion a year. $1.5 trillion a year. Yes. Who reports to me? FDA, CDC, NIH, Office of Surgeon General. All of those guys report me. Yes. How big is my budget compared to all the other departments? Well, you're bigger than the military. No way. Yes. Do we spend more than anybody else in the world? Well, I got some numbers here that says we spend 17.8% of our GDP, higher than any other country in the world. And if we spend more than everybody else, America should be outliving everybody else, right? No, we're not. We spend the most, but our life expectancy sucks. How bad are we? Well, let's just put it to you this way. In 1980, the average of where we used to live in America, 73.7 years, and the difference between that and our peer nation was 0.9 years, a little less than a year. We've improved from 0.9 to today, right? No, now the discrepancy is 5 years. Wait, let me get this straight. Bigger budget than everybody else, and we're living less than our competitors? Yes. How the hell did we get there? That person that got the phone call is RFK Jr. This is a massive job. If done right, this can be massive for your health and my health. If you get value out of this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. One of the things RFK talks about is make America healthy again. Basic, removing preservatives from foods. Now, when we think about food in America, we think everywhere in the world must be the same, right? The food we make must be made the same way other places. Let's look at the US McDonald's when you go have fries. Here's what it looks like in US versus UK. In US, it's potatoes, vegetable oil, then you have canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil, hydrogenated soybean oil, natural beef flavor, then you got dextrose, sodium acid, pyrophosphate, salt, fried and vegetable oil, blend with citric acid, and all right, let me try it. And dimethyl poly, it's great. And dimethyl polysiloxane. Now, when you look at McDonald's fries in the UK, it's potatoes, vegetable oil, sunflower, rapeseed, dextrose, fried in non-hydrogenated vegetable oil. Salt is added after cooking. One, UK, pretty simple. In US, add a bunch of other preservatives to it. Now let's look at ketchup. This is US versus UK and US. Ingredients: tomato, concentrate, distilled vinegar, high fructose, corn syrup, salt, spice, onion powder, natural flavoring. You go to UK. Tomatoes, spirit vinegar, sugar, salt, herb extracts, and spice. Notice on both of them, we're adding a bunch of stuff in US. Why? I don't know, but it's a good question to ask. Let's continue. Do you like Mountain Dew? How much you like Mountain Dew? You know how many countries Mountain Dew is illegal in? Let me give it to you. Mountain Dew, which contains BVO, that's linked to potential health risks, is banned in Europe and Japan, but it's legal in US. Let's go to the next one. And Honey Bunches of Oats. These cereals contain BHT, a preservative banned in Japan and EU due to potential carcinogenic properties. Well, you can buy it in US. Let's go to the next one. Coffee Mate. The coffee creamer contains trans fats, specifically partially hydrogenated oils, which are linked to heart disease. While the US banned trans fats in 2018, products containing them still can be found. Many countries, including Switzerland, Austria, Hungary, Iceland, Norway, and Denmark, have stricter regulations. Next, Thanksgiving's around the corner. Stovetop stuffing. This product contains preservatives BHA and BHT, which are suspected to be carcinogenics and impair blood clotting. These preservatives are banned in the UK, Japan, and several other European countries, but available in the US. Papaya, corn, and soy. Genetically modified versions of these crops are common in the US. However, several nations, including Russia and other countries in the European Union, have bans on genetically modified organisms, GMOs, due to health and environmental concerns. But you can find them in the US. You like salmon? You like farm-raised salmon? Let me tell you about these farm-raised salmon. In some countries, farm-raised salmon is banned due to concerns over the use of certain chemical and antibiotics in the farming process. For example, Australia and New Zealand have restrictions on the import of farm-raised salmon from certain countries. But you can find them in the US. They shit next to each other, so like what happens is, and then eat the poop. It's fantastic. It's a chocolate. I got 12 more for you. So if you don't want to hear this stuff because you like some of this stuff, don't watch this video. But if you're curious, you're a parent, you want to kind of live a healthier life, let's pay attention to some of this stuff. So let's go through. Potassium bromate, okay? You'll find this in Goya, in Wise, Hormel. When it comes down to BHA and BHT, you'll find it in Kellogg's, Nestle, Nabisco. By the way, in our family, we stopped all cereal 2 years ago. Not one cereal for our kids Everybody feels better. Ractopamine, this is feed additive used to promote leanness in animals. Imagine like steroids, clenbuterol, you get cut up, right? This is with Plainville and Genio. Now I'm gonna go through a bunch of these colors that, red 40, you have Swedish Fish, Kool-Aid, Red Vines. My kids are not gonna be happy about that. Then you got yellow 5 and 6. This is Peeps, Jello, Hostess. Catastrophic, man, with Jello. That one, I'm still eating it. Then you got ADA. This is Jimmy Dean, Arnold Bread, Pillsbury. Then you have RBST, which is Artificial Growth Hormone, which is General Mills and Land O'Lakes. Now we have Olestra, which is Pringles and Lay's. Then we have Parabens, which is Cetaphil, Olay, and CoverGirl. And then we have Pink Slime, which is Tyson. By the way, if you were on your way to Kroger's, maybe you're going to Publix or Albertsons or Vons or whatever other place you're going, maybe there's a change of plans when you go, I can't buy this because of the video I just watched. Look, I just want to go through some charts here for you to look at. Look at this here. This is life expectancy at birth in years from 1980 to 2022. Look at us. We're the green. Comparable country average is the blue. They're living longer. We're not. We're even declining since 2008. Steady. We're not getting any better. How is that? We're spending all this money. Go to the next chart. Look at this one here. All-cause age-adjusted mortality rate per 100,000. Look at green. We used to be better. Fewer Americans used to die. Now, more Americans are dying out of 100,000 compared to our other countries. And remember when earlier we were talking about what percentage of GDP we're spending? Look at this chart, how we compare. All the way at the bottom, you see USA, which is 17.8% of our GDP. Life expectancy, 77. Look at the next one, Germany, 12.8, but they're at 81. France, 12.4, but they're at 82. Even if you go to the lowest one, which is Korea, 8.8%, they live nearly 83 years. New Zealand, 9.7, 82. How are we spending all this money? But we're living less than all these other guys. The math just doesn't make sense. Look at this one here. This is avoidable deaths per 100,000 population in the US. Again, higher than everybody else. US all the way at the bottom, 336. You see that hockey stick going up? Look at everybody else, okay? 144 Australia, 171 Canada, 164 France, 195 Germany. We're at 336. How? By the way, this is like smoking. This is drinking. This is eating too much sugar. These are avoidable. We can be more disciplined, but in America, like, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Let them have it. In the school, give them this food. It's okay. We can't afford to spend all the money on shitty food for kids to eat. And then the data shows up here because the habits are built at a young age. This next one is very weird. The US has the highest rate of infant and maternal deaths. How? Look at us here. The OECD average is 4.1. We're at 5.4. You go to the right side, the OECD average, maternal mortality, deaths per 100,000 live births. The average is 9.8. We're at 23.8. How? How are we not studying this to see why? Who's asking the why and getting to the bottom of this? With a $1.5 trillion budget, we can't address something like this. Here's the next one that we're uncomfortable calling people obese. We like to say big bone, right? God forbid, you don't want to shame people. Fat shaming is a bad thing. Look at the US obesity rate. It's nearly double the OECD average. 25 is the OECD average. Where are we at? 42.8. Why? Because we're worried about talking about how we look. This is real, and it's hurting a lot of people. Here's the next one for you. Adults in the US are most likely to have multiple chronic conditions. Look at us compared to everybody else, 30 years old. By the way, this includes things like asthma, cancer, depression, diabetes, heart disease, hypertension. And by the way, our rate was nearly twice as high as France and significantly higher than other peer nations where no more than 25% reported similar diagnosis. This next one's kind of weird. Check this out. US has amongst the lowest rates of physicians visits and practice and physicians. So watch this. The OECD average, 5.7, we're at 4. And if you look at practice and physicians, the OECD average is 3.7. We have 2.6. Why? Did you know about this? I didn't know about this. But when you dig deep, you see these numbers here. I don't want to bore you today with all these data, but it's reality. Here's the last one I'll give you, and then we'll get to the final thoughts. US has among the highest rates of hip replacement, right behind Switzerland. Look at the average right there, 9.4. We're at 15.6. Now you may say, Pat, we got boomers, we got osteoporosis, we got all these other things that's going on in America. That's why. But again, can we not look at this and pay attention to it and improve it? I think we can. So now here's what's crazy. All this stuff that we're talking about, the establishment in the health industry, it's like, why would you hire Bobby Kennedy? Do you not realize this guy's not good? And I remember 2 years ago on Twitter, everybody was fighting over Peter Hotez, calling RFK Jr. Oh, I cannot believe this guy, he doesn't know anything about. And RFK said, why don't we go on Joe Rogan and debate? And Rogan comes out and says, I'll give you this. And then we all started putting $100,000, $1.5 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million. He said, no, why wouldn't you? Now, if you look at Peter on this side and you look at Bobby on this side, who looks healthier? Who do you want America to look like? This guy here looks like he drinks a lot of Mountain Dew. This guy here looks like he goes to the gym a lot. This guy here looks like he's eating most of these products. This guy here looks like he wants to find a way to live a longer life. Who should we listen to? By the way, check this out. You think these companies that are making all the money, that are adding these preservatives, you don't think they have lobbyists that are going around trying to buy some congressman and senator and all these other guys? You don't think they are? I don't know. I'm not speculating, but I'm telling you, the industry is massive. So of course they don't want somebody that's an anti-establishment guy to have a job that a current Anthony Fauci reports to you. You think Anthony Fauci would like to report to Bobby Kennedy? You think Anthony Fauci, who was in charge during COVID, telling us all this stuff that we have to do with masks while my little kids had to go to school wearing a mask, coming home looking weird? All the pictures we're going through the other day on our iPad and our iPhone, I saw a picture of my kids. I'm like, babe, look at this. We're in school visiting my kids. I got masks on in Texas, not even California. Who did that? Who enforced that? Who told us to do that? We shouldn't get to the bottom of those things. I think America's voted and they want to see what Bobby can do. Trump appoints him. There's a lot of improvement we can do right now because whoever the establishment's been giving these jobs to, they're not improving the numbers. So what can we do? Let's give a shot to a guy that actually is obsessed with finding a way to improve this. Who knows? Worst thing we can do is live longer. Do you have a problem with that? If you got value out of this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to know what the number one reason for bankruptcies are, and if you've never seen this data, it's scary. Click here to watch this video. Something tells me you're gonna like it. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.